All right, Shalom. It's Brother Kachkwala coming back at you with another lesson, giving all glory, honor, and praises to you. How about Shemi Awashai, Bashim Chakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone to rule and teach well. Peace of salutation to the 11 according for first fruit. This is going to be a pretty quick lesson here. As you can see, I was watching this video here. It says the disturbing truth about breeding farms during slavery. And I'm just going to hit this point at the very end of the the video. I'm at like the 10-minute mark here. Speaking about capital evil, this is gonna go in on the banking system and things of that nature. All right. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip, let y'all watch it, and then I'm just simply gonna bring out some points in Deuteronomy 28 and close it out. But this did say something interesting in here that I wanted to point out.
The way to do it through the lack of legal status any slave had, by mortgaging them. Banks were set up in informative southern states, including Louisiana and Mississippi, where slaves were mortgaged as properties to the banks. These mortgages were repackaged into bonds that could be sold globally. This meant many over the world where slavery had been outlawed were profiting from bonds backed by their value. In a sardonic twist, arguably, the prohibition of the slave trade ended up developing the financial roots it formed over an allegedly enlightened world. If you want more of history...
So the reason why I wanted to bring that out, they call this bizarre history. That shit ain't bizarre. It happened, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just history. You know what I'm saying? But pretty much why I brought that out is because it shows that, these banks really ran off of slavery and things of that nature, which makes complete sense because, another thing that ran off slavery was insurance. So, your local state farms and your Liberty Mutuals and shit, those came about off the backs of slaves. So pretty much when, what is it, a slave owner or whatever, slave master, pretty much would order slaves from West Africa like Amazon, and they would put, okay, we can insure your slave because their life expectancy to and from West Africa to here or to Virginia, wherever you're at, their life expectancy, you ordered 100, you might get 50. You know what I'm saying? You have a 50% chance of getting all your products. So you want to be insured so you don't lose out on all that money and you're covered. Okay? In a sense, it's like gap insurance. When you buy a used car, you get gap insurance to pretty much satisfy that depreciation that it had or whatnot in that sense. So it's the same thing that they use insurance for slavery. So it's now we're talking about they mortgaged slavery and they made money in that sense because they saw of course it's still it's still in the Constitution where blacks are 3/5 of a person. So they're not really a person, they're more property in the eyes of these Edomites, in the eyes of America. So therefore, they mortgaged them off just like you would mortgage a house. Oh damn, I don't have enough money. Say a slave owner, you had big time slave owners and small time just like you have big time companies and small companies. You have big time slave owners and small slave owners that maybe own 3 or 4 slaves and maybe need 2 more to make their thing run a little bit efficiently, and they didn't have enough money to buy those 2 slaves straight up, so they would mortgage them and pay them over time, and the bank would lend them the money to do it. You see what I'm saying? So that's where these mortgages, you look at Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all these other little things, they derived off the backs of slavery. All right. So without further ado, we're going to go into Deuteronomy 28. I'll just start at 48 and then skip down, and then this lesson will be over. So it says Deuteronomy 28 and 48. It says, and I will put this link to this video in the description box below if you want to check it out. So it says Deuteronomy 28 and 48, there shall Thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Right, he shall put a yoke of iron around thy neck until he destroy thee. Slavery. That's all I'm going to say. All that sounds like slavery to me, that you're being oppressed by different people. All right, so verse 49, it says, and the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far. And what nation was that? These Edomites. All right, which are the self-proclaimed white men. All right, it says, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Exactly, when Christopher Columbus came over and slaughtered a lot of you Issacharites, Naphtali, and so on, Asherites, so on and so forth. Y'all didn't understand the language that he was speaking. And then he brought you back over to Spain in slavery. All right, that was a nation that was far off from the end of the earth and moved as swift as an eagle because they got to the other side of the world fairly quickly via the Apocrypha, in a nation whose tongue that they were speaking Spanish. Them Mayans and Aztecs and shit didn't know what he was saying. All right, a good movie to watch is Apocalypto. At the end of that movie, you see the conquistadors coming to that land. All right, verse 50, it says, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Right, meaning no mercy. And that's exactly what they did during this time of slavery. They showed no mercy to young or old. Okay, they showed no mercy. All right, so let's just skip down real quick. Like I said, it's going to be a pretty quick lesson here. Let's start at 64. It says, Deuteronomy 28:64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto another, and there thou shalt serve the other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Right, because we're going to be beaten into another religion, beaten to another way of thought. We're just now coming out of that. Verse 65, and it says, among these nations thou shalt find no ease. Right, we shall find no ease. There's no ease with getting sold off, all right, and put up as a mortgage.
And realized a way to do it through the lack of legal status any slave had, by mortgaging them. Banks were...
Yeah, because they knew we didn't have any legal rights, so they'll auction us off or they'll mortgage us via banks. So these banks that you go to withdraw money out of, they're wicked. All right.
Set up in informative Southern.
And I know I'm speaking to the choir, to the brothers who are in the faith, but you may have individuals who may watch your videos and may not know too much, and they didn't know that specific fact that I mentioned. Banks that we go to are quote unquote racist. Of course they are. But it goes deeper back into history to see where that racism came from. It came from this. It came from slavery, man. They mortgaged us off.
States, including Louisiana, consequence. Slave owners of the 1830s wanted more capital in their states and realized a way to do it through the lack of legal status any slave had, by mortgaging them. Banks were set up in informative Southern states, including Louisiana and Mississippi, where slaves were mortgaged as properties to the banks. These mortgages were repackaged into bonds that could be sold globally. This meant many over the world where slavery had been outlawed.
Yeah, it's not just in the United States. They said globally. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Because slavery was a hot commodity around the globe, not just in America. All right? Man, it says, and among these nations, right, thou shalt find no ease. That's no other. That's why I said globally in there, because this is saying nations. Okay? Nations. So don't think just, slavery was just here in America. No, there are slaves in Canada. There are slaves down south America. There are slaves over there in Spain. Slavery was everywhere. So all these other nations aren't guiltless, you could say. They're all guilty of having the Israelites underneath their rulership in a form of slavery, and they're going to get destroyed for it. It says, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. Let's just go to Deuteronomy 28:68, the classic. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way there whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That is a prophecy that has came to pass already with the sub-Sahara slave trade and the sub-Atlantic, mainly the sub-Atlantic slave trade, because we were sold again into Egypt and we were brought into Egypt again with ships. Egypt, the word Egypt means bondage, all right? If you look at the map and you see the Middle East or the Israel, it doesn't take a ship to get to Egypt. You see what I'm saying? So this is a metaphorically saying, or prophetically saying, you're going to get sold into slavery and a ship is going to take you over the sea to another place where you don't know of. And you will be sold. You will come with your family on that ship, and your son will be sold to Louisiana. You will be sold to Mississippi. Your mother, the woman of your children, shall be sold to Alabama, and your two children will go down to Florida. And they'll separate you, okay? Simple and plain and put like that. And you'll be mortgaged off. All right? So Lord willing, this is edifying. Again, I'm going to put this clip right here in the description box below. Give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem HaChakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. Brother Kashkwan, until the next time. Shalom. And like always, repent, for Yahushua is coming back sooner than what me and you believe. Shalom.